Hey, welcome back to the live stream of the 2017 New Room Conference right here in Franklin, Tennessee. Don't forget, if you're watching from home, to join us on social media at New Room CONF. That's also the hashtag Twitter social media. If you want to know what it's really like here, you can go on your iPhone or your Android phone and download the New Room Conference app. It's a great way to follow the schedule, learn more about the speakers. You can actually rate some of the speakers. And as you know, we've been having some great guests. Tony, tell these fine folks who this
Yeah,
gentleman
so
is.
this morning we're starting out with the Matt LeRoy. He's the co-pastor of Love Chapel Hill, an eclectic, quirky church plant in downtown Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He's married to Sarah, who's out of his league, and we all agree with that. They are the proud parents of twin sons, Luke and Samuel. Matt, always a
Good to
pleasure.
be with you
Yeah.
guys. I
Hey,
love you guys.
how old are your boys now?
They're 6, so they just started kindergarten 2 weeks ago.
Oh my! My
Yes.
girl
Oh,
turned
man.
14 this weekend.
What?
They're
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, let's not
That's
talk
crazy.
about the age of children right now.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, listen, what we want to talk to you this morning about, Matt, is the Love Lab Experiments in Grace series, and specifically the study, The Great Reversal, the life and death and life of Jesus. There are 66 books in the Bible.
Mhm.
This one focuses on John. Why John?
Well, so the Gospel of John teaches us what it means to be a disciple of Jesus. And so this actually grows out of the Bible study that we started with our church before we ever started meeting for worship.
Okay.
And so we knew when we were planting our church, we kept hearing, everybody kept telling us that churches take on the personality of their founder. And so we wanted it to be very clear who our founder is, and that's Jesus. And so we took 6 months, maybe even more than that, of walking through the Gospel of John from this perspective of an intimate friend of Jesus. What does it mean to be someone who walks that closely with Jesus? And so we wanted to take on his personality to express that to our community. So we love the intimate portrait that we get of Jesus from the Gospel of John and that perspective. And so that's why we chose that book.
So I want to kind of zoom out a little bit. One of the things that I was noticing is just in the name of the whole series. So, Love Lab Experiments in Grace. It seems like the language is very specific here.
Yes.
So, I
Yes.
mean, what are you trying to communicate?
Yeah, so again, experiment in grace is something that came from when we were planting our church. That was some terminology that God just birthed in us that we kept saying, we want to be an experiment in grace. What does it look like for a group of people who believe in the grace of Jesus and see how far can this thing go? Like, where are the edges of grace? Let's keep experimenting with how far the grace of Jesus can reach. And then the lab part, one of the things that we keep coming back to is the fact that so often in our discipleship culture, we're drowning in information, but there's a drought of obedience. And so we keep saying discipleship has got to move beyond the lecture and into the lab, into this place where people get to experiment with this and experience it firsthand. So that's what this study does. Is it's designed to be more than just information. But at the end of every chapter, there's an experiment in grace that challenges you to go take this and put it into practice and see what it looks like in your real life.
One of the things that really grabbed me in this is early on, one of the people you feature is the woman at the well, and the title for that section is Jesus Knows Our Story.
Yeah.
Why? Obviously, you think that's important to communicate that to people early on. Why?
Yeah. Well, and her story in particular, we always just cast her as this woman who's promiscuous, and that's her sin.
Go get her, Jesus. Yeah, call her out.
Right. And that she's like jumping from one bed to the next.
Yeah.
Like, well, I've had 5 husbands, and he says the man you're with now is not even your husband. And we're like, man, what a promiscuous, sinful woman. But in that culture and in that time, as we understand, men could divorce their wives for any reason, and women didn't have any power. They were seen as the property of the man, the most important man in her life. So probably what's happening here is not her just jumping from man to man, but 5 different men saying, I don't want you anymore. You're completely relying on me, but you're on your own now, casting her out. and now this person won't even take her as her wife, as his wife.
Yeah.
And so she has no trust for what Jesus is saying
Mm.
because of that background. And she's saying, if you really knew who I am, then this offer would not be good for me. And Jesus cuts right through that. He says, I know your story. I know
Yeah.
every part of it. And what
Beautiful.
I'm saying is for you. And the same is true for every one of us. We put these barriers up, but Jesus is cutting right through it. And he's saying, my grace reaches further than you could ever imagine and dream.
So, man, I got to ask. You know, the title of this series is Love Lab. This is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
What's coming? Give us a
Yeah.
spoiler.
All right, awesome. So the next 3 that we have in
Yeah.
the lineup, we've got the Book of Acts, which is coming hopefully decently soon.
Yeah.
That's a firm
Oh,
commitment right there. Didn't you hear that? This
This is
solid
my-
date in the future.
This
Hey.
is my accountability right
He's
here.
only got 65 books to go.
Oh, so we're doing the Book of Acts, and it's called How to Start a Fire.
Yeah,
And then after that, we're going to do the Book of Esther,
right.
calling it Esther Effect. And then after that is the story of David. So Once and Future Kingdom is what we're going to call that. So
Awesome.
Now he
Yeah.
said there's only 65 books to go. I think the one he's really looking forward to is when you tackle Leviticus.
Oh, can't wait for that. Some interesting experiments in grace
Yeah.
on that one.
Hey, all of Matt's
Take
materials.
a lamb.
All of Matt's materials you can find at seedbed.com. They're available there for purchase. So not only is this the book, there's also a DVD curriculum that comes along with that. Great stuff. Matt, where can people go online if they want to just follow you or stalk you, things like that,
Yeah,
keep
all right.
up with you?
Awesome.
Where can they go?
So lovechapelhill.com, that's our church site, and that's really my heart and where I'm rooted in that local church there. And then at Matt LeRoy on Twitter, Instagram, and I'm on Facebook occasionally as well. And at Love Chapel Hill, Twitter and Instagram as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you
for
guys.
what
I
you're
love you guys.
doing. We are obviously follow your story with great anticipation. So, hey, thanks for joining us. We got great interviews lined up throughout the day, along with the fantastic session. So don't go far. It's the New Room live stream 2017.